Welcome to the Sharpe Club. A little bit past 9 p.m. on the East Coast. I know you're saying 9 p.m. It must be Monday. Yes, that is correct. Monday evening, we're here in the Sharpe Club talking about the cool things that are happening all around our country, and particularly some interesting news today. We're going to be talking about the idea of independent movements, independent media, independent parties, independent everything. And my panel tonight is everyone who is thinking independent in some way, shape, or form. Without question, we are having that all over the place. Host of Hard Lens Media, independent journalist, activist, and a awesome USMC Marine, just like myself, the man himself, Kit Cabello. How are you, sir?
Cheers and salutations. Glad to be back on your show, speaking truth to power. And as always, look, while we all come from different political backgrounds, I think we all can agree we're in a neoliberal nightmare. Let's enjoy it while we can, and let's try and break the system if we can. So
I'm not sure we can enjoy it, but I get it completely. Also, another person who is rocking and rolling, an activist and radio shows, and also Substack author, been here before, the man himself, Craig Miles. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Larry, and I tend to agree with you. I don't think I enjoy this neoliberal hellhole that we're in. I'd like to dig out of it at some point, but I do like the optimism.
There we go. Absolutely. And another fellow New Yorker, someone who's actually decided to run as an independent for Congress here in New York State. Also a comedian activist, the man himself, Hal Stewart. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you saving the best looking for last.
That was the issue. Yes, exactly. Yeah. We wanted to make sure people with the short hair are the better looking ones.
That's right.
That's exactly correct. Yes.
I noticed how it's queued up left to right there. You put the long hairs
correct.
To the right side.
Sorry, guys. The better looking ones are on the left side of the screen. This is accurate. Sorry about
that. So then that means you guys are on the left then. Okay, I understand completely. Great.
As long as I'm good looking, I'll take it, brother.
Where the good looking side is, yeah.
That's it. Absolutely. Well, I know we were going to talk about independence, and we are talking about it. But with the news of Tucker Carlson either quitting or getting fired or whatever is the way he left, and Don Lemon literally being fired. Like, we know he got fired. We're sure of that. We don't know if Tucker got fired. We know Don Lemon got fired. Is this the time? Is this a sign that, look, left-right paradigm's not working? Got to fire the people who are, these are some of the main players on the left and the right. They're both gone. Is this a time that independence is the key? Are these guys going to, go off into their own Substack? Are they going to do that? What's going to happen here?
Who wants to shoot first?
Go. You opened your mouth. Go. Shoot.
All right. Well, here's the thing with Tucker Carlson. Look, let's be very clear here. I know for a fact, and I would be shocked if he doesn't land on his feet, gets a show on Rumble, YouTube, Odyssey, Rockfin, Twitch, etc. He will be okay. And the thing is, 100%. let's be very clear here about who Tucker Carlson is and who he has had on his show, people on the left and on the right. And specifically, let's talk about Dr. Cornel West, Tulsi Gabbard, Chicago's very own Jimmy Dore, Matt Blumenthal, Matt Taibbi. He's had people who are definitely don't agree with him on the political spectrum, but he exposes audience to them and has actually given them a space to talk about how we are in this neoliberal nightmare, this economic situation in which the working class citizens are being screwed over. I would be surprised if he doesn't have, look, and maybe I'm shooting off the hip here, maybe a Joe Rogan type of podcast or show somewhere down the road. He will be okay.
Hold on, Kit. You brought this up now. When you said Cornel West, that really made, I'd forgotten him and Cornel West are actually friends. I'd forgotten that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
This could be a Spotify moment, like when Joe Rogan all of a sudden kind of like made Spotify with the $100 million. Is this going to be like whatever?
Precisely.
The Rumble event, right? Or something like that.
It can be. And the thing is, look, Tucker Carlson was running a show without advertisers. And let's face it, in corporate media, you need advertisers. It's a fundamental thing. But he was running that show for a very long time without advertisers. Tucker Carlson is going to be A-okay. He won't be on Fox News, but Fox News will miss him. As for Don Lemon, let's be very clear here. CNN Communications.
You're laughing.
Yeah, CNN Communications recently tweeted out on their Twitter page that Don Lemon lied in regards to how he was let go. Let's
Yep.
be very clear. He was fired. And Don Lemon has a long set history of, well, let's say being wrong about a lot of issues, being difficult to work with.
Lying. Kids say it. Lying.
All right. Lying. All right. I'm trying to be overall a little bit of the nice guy here, but I don't want to go too far. But also, look, let's talk about his scumbag issues too. He's had a history of harassing people and clearly being a scumbag and diva to work with. Okay.
Yeah, but to be clear though, hold on. Now Tucker had some issues too.
Yeah, that is
Tucker's got some harassment stuff going on too. It is, I mean, like everybody who's public gets harassment stuff. Hal, give me your 2 cents on this.
Yeah, so obviously there's going to be a much larger audience for Tucker Carlson. Number one, he's far more popular. That's all that goes without saying. And I think the audience for right-wing media, independent right-wing media, is far larger than left-wing media. The right wants to consume the echo chamber far more than the left does. I think the left looks for very niche things and isn't looking for 1 hour of every topic. But yeah, far more for Tucker Carlson. Don Lemon will probably go into some obscure self-made channel. He'll have a small audience, probably do make a decent living, nothing special, but I think we've seen for the most part the end of Don Lemon.
Yeah, but Don Lemon is fine. He's making money, and his husband also. Lemon's husband also makes money. They're both wealthy. They'll be fine.
Yeah, these are not. Of course, these are not people that are like calling up the unemployment office tomorrow. They
not going to happen. Yes.
Yeah, I made a joke about it, about Tucker Carlson changing his opinion on extended unemployment benefits, but he's not even interested.
That's true.
I do find it interesting, though, Kit, is that that you brought up Don Lemon lying. Fair enough. But part of the reason I think that Tucker is gone now is the recent, of course, Dominion lawsuit. I think there's that. And coming from that, the text where he badmouths the top executives at Fox, I think played a huge part. He does have the pending lawsuit with his scheduler, I believe.
That's right. Abby Grossberg. That's correct. Yes.
So he's got a few things going on right now that I think, I see it, Kid. I see you there, eager to jump back.
Let me get Craig in here too. I know you think.
Yeah, because this isn't in defense of Tucker. It's just more of, look, last week Tucker, and I'm not quoting RFK Jr. here, did cross a lot of red lines that would probably maybe be the final Rubicon for Tucker Carlson in his career. There's a lot of other issues that, yes, everyone brought up is factually correct, but maybe those things last week were the things that finally were the straw that broke the camel's back.
I was shocked in his last show when he was doing that whole kind of like joke about, what if we were lying? We would never do that. Fox would never lie. He was doing that.
All corporate media have been saints. They've never lied to us. Name one incident where the establishment lied to us.
Never lie. You're right. They love us, Kit, 100%. So, but he was actually doing that, and I thought, wow, it's great. Craig, go ahead. I'm sorry. We've been yapping. Go ahead, Craig.
No, I'm pretty much of the same opinion. Tucker's gonna be fine. Fox is screwed. What does Fox have now? I mean, like,
I disagree. People keep saying that. Fox does something better than CNN, not even close. MSNBC's pretty good at it, but Fox is amazing. Fox has a bench. Fox goes out of its way to make a bench. On the weekends, they have people who are showing up. They got the Five, they got Gutfeld, they got Waters, they have Fox Business. They got Kennedy, they got people over there. Fox has a deep bench. And to think that they're going to go away, no way. Fox will be fine too.
They have that time slot. They have that time slot as well. And you think back, they are the poster child for losing your biggest star and rebounding. You think Tucker Carlson is big. Bill O'Reilly was larger. They replaced him with no problem. They will be fine.
Well, the thing is, maybe this is kind of the beginning of the end of the major pundit that you would see on establishment media. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, okay, look, you can rebound. This is true. Fox News is, let's face it, more popular and can have more entertainment shows and segments than CNN or MSNBC. This is not up for debate. Fox News is, yes, number one. But the thing
100%.
is, let's look at the consumer, the viewing audience. Can a show replace what Tucker had built? Because the thing is, you need somebody who can run a show without advertisers. Advertisers run the whole freaking show in corporate media, whether you're in Fox or MSNBC or any of the others. You need that money. Tucker Carlson was able to pull it off because he brought in the views. He was an MVP. And yes, Bill O'Reilly was popular. But the thing is, when you remove somebody like Tucker, who brought in people who definitely don't fit in with the Fox News corporate political perspective, how are you going to replace that? That's the thing. Who's your next Michael Jordan? Who's your next Kobe Bryant?
I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you the answer.
Okay.
You got to remember something here. Fox News isn't making that much money off advertising. They're making their money off cable subscriptions. That's where their cash comes in. Their advertisers are minimal. They make more money
can
off
also cut their cable too.
Deals they make. That's correct. But what Fox has done better than the others is Fox Nation. CNN Plus failed miserably. Fox Nation was savvy. Fox Nation gave themselves away free for all first responders and veterans. First year away free. Brilliant move. Then they took all their people and they put them all on it for videos, for blog posts, all that kind of cool stuff. Now, MSNBC is okay because MSNBC owns Peacock. So they get to deal with Peacock, which Peacock was up and running before this was happening. So MSNBC is just lucky that NBC happens to be part of their world and they own Peacock. That was luck, not skill. Fox Nation was actually skill. CNN Plus, they're in trouble. Like they're trying to bring Bill Maher over. That's how bad they are.
CNN Plus is no longer here, folks. May it rest in peace. Yeah, it's gone.
Yes. Absolutely. But I think they can put some money in that slot. They'll put somebody in that slot, whoever that person is. And I think over time, I think Hal's correct. Over time, that person will build whatever they are. They're going to take the next 3 weeks throwing people in, right? They're going to have Tulsi Gabbard on. Today, they had Brian Kilmeade on. They're going to have a bunch of people on, and then they're going to find the one that seems to work the best. And then they're going to rock and roll with that. Come on. Do you think that's not true?
I got to interject. I'm sorry. I apologize, gentlemen. I'll give the floor up. But here's the thing.
No, you won't.
Well, I try.
Okay,
but let's be clear here about whose shoes you're filling in. Tucker Carlson, right? It's sort of like, imagine back in the day with the radio shock jock when Howard Stern was kicked off of mainstream radio, and eventually he went to the satellite radios, right? Who in their right mind can fill in that time slot of Howard Stern? I mean, and that was the era of the shock jock. I mean, the thing is, Tucker Carlson more or less is maybe of a higher caliber of filling in that time spot because of one, he brought in the views, because there is a viewing audience now that's going to be wondering, okay, I used to watch Tucker Carlson's show at this point in time. Who's going to be there? Should they warrant my attention as a consumer, as a viewer? Because let's face it, even here on social media, let's face it, time spots, people choose whose time they want to give. Are they willing to do that again after, again, Fox News makes this, again, ridiculous decision of kicking out Tucker Carlson? And again, Tucker's going to be fine. He's going to do his own thing.
Yeah, but you bring up an important part that people aren't realizing here, Kit. They're literally, there are still people involved here. And this is to Hal's earlier point and Craig's earlier point. I mean, there's lawsuits against him, and he said some bad stuff against the leaders. And this could have been something as simple as, this is a good excuse to get rid of this piece of garbage because he said bad things about me. It could have been that much. Remember, Murdoch is still in charge. He's a 92-year-old dude who might have got pissed off and said, "You're done. Get out." It could have been that simple. I mean, I don't know that to be true, obviously. But something else, guys. What if he has some form of, I don't know, non-compete? What if he can't work for like 3 months or a year or 6 months? I have no idea if that's true. But what if he's got something like that? What if he's screwed for like a year and he can't do much except, like, I don't know, write a book or something?
Well, that's right.
And he probably doesn't own any IP. So he probably can't take his stuff and put it on his new website because probably Fox owns it.
That's where I was going to go, is how loyal are Tucker's fans? How many fans of Tucker's are fans of the Fox extended universe? Because if they're only there for Tucker, they're going to follow him wherever he goes. But then you bring up a good point about the non-compete. I mean, that's why Dave Chappelle didn't do anything for 10 years, right? He told Comedy Central to stick it in their ass. They said, okay, we will, but you also don't get to do anything for 10 years.
Yes. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So yeah, maybe he will have to go. Yeah, it's all speculation now, and who knows because if he had a contract, I've heard people talk about that, and if they fired him, they would have had to pay off the rest of his contract and what goes with that, and all of these things. So who knows what they figured out. But yeah, Tucker is a force to be reckoned with. And also anyone that wants to talk smack about Tucker, I saw a lot of lefties on Twitter. They were so excited. Yes. I'm like, why are you so excited? Like, why do you let these people get at you? Also, Tucker has done more for anybody with the exposing January 6th and getting Jacob Chansley out of jail. He's out of jail because Tucker Carlson.
That's true. Good point.
He literally got a guy out of federal prison within the past month. And you're like, yeah, this guy sucks. He's a fascist. I'm like, he just got him out of the fascist gulag. He's not a fascist. Like, what are you talking about?
He could be both. He could still be a fascist and get a guy out of a fascist gulag. I mean, you could be both. I'm just saying.
I guess.
He could be both.
I think he's actually I think he's actually full of it. I don't think, and I think some of the text kind of showed this. I think he knows his audience. He knows he's an entertainer. He is not a journalist. He's not a news guy. He knows his audience and what he has to say. Paul, I think Begala, his old Crossfire host, was interviewed and talked about it and was talking about him that the Tucker he sees now is not the Tucker he knows. And it's, and it's to be fair, I mean, it is what you build a personality the same way, and this is the same way I feel about Candace Owens. That's not who she really is. She's playing a role the same way Hulk Hogan played a character. Right.
Oh, no, she's not. Candace Owens is actually a horrible person. She really is. No, she's really a horrible person.
Maybe she's a different kind of horrible, though. She might still be a horrible person playing a different kind of horrible person.
Oh, okay. So she's a different horrible person. Okay, maybe.
Right. She's a horrible person playing. Yeah, for sure.
Like another horrible person. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I do, though. To Craig's point, I saw a lot of people are very excited about Tucker and fine, whatever. You didn't like his views, but just to everybody's point, except for Kit's, somebody is going to replace him. Somebody else will be in that time slot, and you'll have a whole new person to hate. I mean, why not just stick with the guy you know? You already know his mannerisms. You know what it is you hate about him. Now you got to learn a whole new person.
Well,
what if they're really nice? Now you got to hate somebody that you like. Oh.
Well, here's the thing about, and someone speaking from the left here. Look, in regards to Tucker, he put a lot of prominent people on the left on his show, and he did some things that a host of a show of that caliber would normally never do. He lets his guests speak. Kid. He lets his guests speak, finish off their talking points, hears them out, hears out their perspective. You would assume that perhaps maybe because of how we've all seen corporate media, that the right-wing Fox News host would be like, oh, you're a left-wing nutcase. No, he let Dr. Cornel West speak. So many truths. Tulsi Gabbard, Jimmy Dore, and so many others. Tucker Carlson gave a platform to a lot of people on the left, and the people who went on his show were smeared by those vote blue no matter who sycophants who have Trump derangement syndrome. So in other words, I view Tucker Carlson being kicked off of Fox News as a detriment because here there was only one corporate media. And again, Fox News is corporate, just like CNN and MSNBC and all the others.
100%.
But on that platform, the left was able to speak out of mind, calling out the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment for what they truly are.
You're going to make me feel bad for Tucker. Stop.
No, look. And Tucker's going to be fine. But I'm saying, again, you do bring up the point of, okay, he might have to be quiet for a year, 2 years, or then you bring up the fact of what happened with Dave Chappelle's Comedy Central for 10 years. If that's the case, look, I got to assume that maybe Tucker Carlson came up with a backup plan, like, okay, if I get screwed over, this is what has to happen. Because again,
I want to touch what you're saying, Kit. I do, and I agree with you, right? Of when I watch MSNBC and Fox. I don't watch CNN because CNN pretends to be something it's not. Fox and MSNBC are open. They tell you who they are, and that's why I'll watch those two. And I got to tell you, you're right.
Is CNN and MSNBC truly out in the open because they put on this facade
MSNBC is. CNN is not. CNN pretends to be neutral and they're corporate left. MSNBC is openly corporate left. Not even playing. They are openly, yes, we are corporate left. whatever whatever. Yes, they're openly that way. But I got to give it to you, right? You would never find someone who was either semi-right leaning or even fully right leaning on MSNBC ever. And if you ever did, they're being yelled at and scolded.
Ray Epps, he's all over.
Ray Epps, yes,
Ray Epps. Yep.
Yes, correct.
He's on there.
But on Tucker, you're right. Tucker did bring on left-leaning people. You're right. I'm gonna give Tucker credit for that. Totally right. And that's the thing. If he goes on his own, he'll probably be a better media than Fox on his own. True. Because he'll just do it all he wants.
True. Yeah, I think it is. So Don Lemon is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned to this discussion. No.
We're not even talking about poor Don Lemon.
No, and I'm gonna because there you go. See, we're not talking about him. He's irrelevant. So my point is, what was he? You've said it before, Larry, about how they're all the same person, right? Brian Stelter is Don Lemon, is Rachel Maddow, they're all the same person.
No, not Rachel Maddow. She's an exception. Yeah. The left actually loves her. They will follow her. She can do stuff outside, and the left,
not me.
And not the left. Liberals. How about that? Liberals will.
There we go. All right, I love that. Liberals, vote blue no matter who.
Liberals will absolutely follow her all day long. Liberals love Rachel Maddow. She is a personality on MSNBC, but CNN is for guys like me. When I'm over 50, we still remember CNN being the news source back like in the first Gulf War and stuff. So we have that still nostalgia of CNN when it was like regular news. So we still watch it when we think of, like there's a hurricane or there's a tornado, put on CNN because that's the news channel. That's why they were always in airports, because that's where you went. They were always on, if you go back years ago, if you went to a dentist office, CNN was on, right? That's what it was. Now those days are over. The boomers are the only ones who used to buy that. And a lot of them have shifted over to Fox.
Yeah. So my point was, the CNN, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of just like a distraction right now. The real news story is the fact that Tucker, like Kit was saying, was bringing you're reaching across the aisle, and that's unusual. That's unusual in politics. It's unusual in media. It's very unusual, and the people are loving it. Tulsi Gabbard loves to go on there. Jimmy Dore loves to go on there. Mm-hmm. Jimmy has become a lot more amicable to people like Rand Paul and Ron Paul. He used to beat them up,
So hold on, Crick. Are you saying that he's actually turning the liberals and the left over to him?
Well, yeah, he's part of it. I think the whole hashtag walk away, right? Where people are leaving the left and saying these guys suck. It's a symptom of that. They're like, well, I can't go on MSNBC. That's where they call them the shit libs. That's where the shit libs live, right? Like, I'm not going to go there. Yes. I can't go to CNN. That's garbage. Like, Fox News is my only place. I don't know.
Spot, Craig, is when, and this would you remember this from my 2018 campaign. When I ran for governor in 2018, a lot of right media would take me, and people would get mad. Larry, your campaign's going right. No, the left wouldn't talk to me. We begged them to go on. Can I please go on your show? Will you come on my show? I'll go on anywhere you want. And they just would either totally diss me or not talk to me or even insult me. The right would let me on. It was that media or no media. And then when I went to the left, then got mad at me. How come you go on the right media? I'm begging you to go on your show and you won't bring me on. What am I going to do? Nothing? They're like, yes, just die. I'm like, I'm not just going to die. So I'm going to either go on the right media or you can let me on yours. And I feel like that's what's happening.
So I'm glad you brought up 2018, because when we were starting off Heartland's Media on the streets, and in 2018, when we finally got on radio, we interviewed a lot of people who were socialists, Greens, and yes, libertarians. But I got a lot of pushback from the activist community by saying, you should not interview libertarians. You should not have these people on your show. To which I'm saying, well, we got some libertarians running for office. I need guests on my show. Why are you running? Tell me who you are.
Did they give you a reason, Kit, or was it just because they didn't like libertarians?
Okay, so one short story. I'll make it quick. One person who was an activist told me, you don't have enough women on your show, to which I interviewed at the time 5, I think, or 3 libertarian women on the show. I mentioned, well, hey, I interviewed these libertarian women, and this person got so offended she walked away. I was like, well, wait, don't they count? They're women. They're running for politics. They might be libertarians. But look, if you're running for office, I need to know who are you? Why should we care? You seem like an interesting person. I might not agree with you, but you're running for office. You're a third party candidate. And so, yeah, Hardlands Media interviewed a lot of libertarians, and we still do. Green Party, socialists, all that kind of stuff.
You had me on.
Yeah, we had you on too. So there you go.
Yep.
So the thing is, look, it's show running 101. Obviously, if you have a candidate running for office, talk to them who they are. But also, if you want to have a good show, have everyone on your show. Joe Rogan is an example of it. He's had everybody on his show.
He had me on his show.
So there you go. There you go.
Absolutely.
That's how it's done. It's how you run a successful show. And it's also how you expand your mind, because maybe you'll have a guest on, they'll say like, hey, here's a perspective, check it out. And to which I have to say, okay, sometimes my mind has been changed. And I look at a different lens.
Let me do a little bit of admin if I could. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, if this makes sense, you enjoy it, please click that like button right now. Clicking the like button matters tremendously. It helps us get past the algorithms. It helps us move forward. So please click that like button right now if you haven't already. If you don't like it, why the hell are you watching? Unless you hate watching because you don't like Craig or something. I don't know. I like Craig. I don't know why you wouldn't like Craig, but whatever. Still hit like anyway. It doesn't matter. And if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this right now. Literally click that retweet button right now. Retweet it so other people can see it. It does matter. If you want your comment to come to the front, you can super chat it. If you're watching on YouTube, Larry Sharpe YouTube, you can super chat. Your comment will come to the front if you like. But again, these guys here, they have been so good to give me a little bit of their Monday evening. So please also follow them. Show them some love. They're showing you love. Show them some love. You can follow Kit on Twitter at Kit Cabello. You'll see his other pieces there too. You can follow Hal at Hal4NY_twice. Yes, not once. He was like twice. So Hal4NY_twice. You can also follow Craig at Diff Frequencies. And that, by the way, is 3 Fs. He wasn't playing around. DIFFFREQUENCIES. So I just want to make sure that we got some of that admin taken care of, guys. I appreciate that.
I do have a comment on what Kit just said about the well, don't those libertarian ladies count? That is a phenomenon that I think is pretty unique to the left, in which they're all about identity politics, as long as the people identifying as whatever are identifying correctly.
100%.
If they identify
100%, man. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to agree. Yeah, I've seen my fair share of hypocrisy amongst the activists or the social justice warrior industrial complex. Just yes. Yeah,
it's not the left or the right. I think it's these people. I call them chronically online. They live in this world, and it's not just the left and right. It's whatever it is you believe, libertarian.
Why you insult me, Hal?
Yeah. Were you attacked there? But it's these people that have this problem. If you talk to somebody, there's a local talk show host in the Binghamton area that I go on. I've donated to. He's very right wing, and some people found this out and they think, "Oh my God, how could you do this?" Because I am left leaning.
What's his name?
They think, Michael Voss.
I love Michael Voss. He's been on the show like 3 times.
Yeah, great guy.
I knew when you said Binghamton, I knew it was him.
Yeah, there's one guy in Binghamton doing that. So I was like, I think
he is the dragon of the
dragon of the Southern Tier. Yes,
that is him. Yes, absolutely.
No sound bites allowed except my name.
That's exactly right. Yes,
but yeah, it's these people. They're chronically online. They live in this chamber, and they think everybody that doesn't agree with them wholesale somehow is an enemy. That we can't have any, common ground. It's all or nothing. And those are the people that have the problem. And I think that those, we're talking about independent-minded people. This far, hardcore, dug-in tribal person is the vast minority. The problem is they're the loudest. They're the 100% loudest.
True. They are loud. Yes.
Well, when you look at the activist community, because here's the thing, like I will try and keep it together if this scenario plays out. But if, let's say, Trump does well in the Republican primary, makes it a general election, and maybe, I don't know, out of the blue becomes president again, I will try my very best to compose myself. But I know that throughout all of 2016 through 2020, Hardlands Media covered a lot of protests early on. Then eventually we stopped in 2018 because it was always the same. They start off at Daily Plaza or some other part in downtown Chicago, then march down the streets to Trump Tower, across the river, but be sheep herded into a cage area that was set up by the CPD, the Chicago Police Department. And I have to say, like, okay, wait a minute. I don't see Malcolm X or any other activist leader leading his people or their group into a cage. No, that's not how you protest. That's not how you do anything. And the thing is, all these people are speaking out these issues and being a resistance, and you're not following through. And the thing is, when you look at a lot of these activists and people who scream that they hate Trump or they view him as Hitler 2.0, or if you're a libertarian or if you're a leftist that goes on a libertarian show or a right-wing show or anything like that, somehow you're the worst enemy ever. Without Trump or even this entire thing that happened in 2016, a lot of these people would be irrelevant and not have any purpose in their life whatsoever. A lot of this identity,
hit a valid point here, Kit.
A lot of these identity,
they don't actually want. Hold on, they don't actually want results. They want to feel good. Going out there and doing it makes them feel good. They don't care if there's a result. They want to say, I was in the streets fighting Trump. They want to be able to say that so that later on they can go, I have purpose because I hate my own life because I don't have a good job. I don't have a good education. I don't have what I want. I don't have a good relationship. I don't have the thing that I want, whatever is that thing. But I can go out there. It's much easier for me to go worry about someone else's problem than to fix my own problem. Right? Way easier to do that.
And the thing is, when you have people with that mindset, not only do they not want to get anything done, but when you try and offer a solution, it's viewed as the highest offense, because the thing is, the whole idea is to make Americans' lives better. Right now, Americans are struggling day in, day out. 100%. Isn't the whole goal of calling out the establishment to eventually stop, to where like you break the system? Look, it's one thing to vilify Trump. I
just want to own the lib.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Trump is, let's face it, he's not the best person in the whole wide world, but I could think of numerous Democratic and Republican lawmakers that are far more vile, far more vicious, and far more brutal than Donald Trump. And these people have been in politics for decades. And the thing is, no American is really calling them out, because they have, a lot of these politicians have perfected the neoliberal mask. And
all right, hold on, Kit. Yeah, I want to take a couple of comments because people are commenting. I want to grab a couple if I can. Joe says, the biggest name in evening, Larry Sharpe. I think he means evening news. He put red. Yeah, he means news. There we go. Larry Sharpe. I can be red if you want. I don't care. Whatever you want. I can be red. Whatever. As long as I'm the biggest name. That's all I care about. Yes, I'm the biggest name.
Red and white ring. There you go.
I'll take it. David says, Christos Anesti. For those you don't know, a couple of weeks ago was Greek Easter. And Dave is Orthodox as I am. So yes, happy Easter for those of you who celebrate the Orthodox Easter. Yes, happy Easter. Absolutely. So yes.
You must be excited about the new Cleopatra movie.
You wanted to trigger me, didn't you? You wanted to trigger me, didn't you? You wanted to trigger me. For those of you who don't know, now I'm going to go off, Craig, because you just got me triggered.
Here we go.
The new Cleopatra movie on Netflix, they make Cleopatra black because they say, well, because she's African. Now, for those of you who don't know, and this is why I bring this up, the rulers of Egypt at that time were not Egyptian. They were Greek. From when Alexander came and conquered Egypt, they were Greek. So in reality, Cleopatra was Greek and Persian. From her family background, she was Persian,
Greek, Macedonian.
Greek. That's correct. Sorry, yes, Macedonian. It was a Greek lineage that came out of Macedonia, and depends upon whether you're Macedonia or Greece, how angry you get, which one is which. But anyway, they're all Greek-ish. I'll say that. Hellenic, for those of you who know, Hellenic. And so that was a Greek family line, not an African family line. There were Black Egyptians, absolutely. Most of them were Nubians from Upper Egypt. They existed, but that person was not Cleopatra. She was Greek. Sorry, I went all off.
You know what?
You got me triggered, Craig.
I'm going to put a smile on your face. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you a link to a video series called Fall of Civilization Podcast, and they talk about the Byzantium Empire. It's a 2-part series. It's called and it's about the rise and fall of Byzantium. I think you'll like it. I'll send it to you after the show.
I appreciate that. Now that I'm done getting pissed off, Craig, Josh says RFK Jr. for the Forward Libertarian Independent Party line for 2024 election. Thoughts on the idea? The reason why I like this comment is all of this talks about independent, right? RFK Jr., the talk is forward party, which is third party, libertarian, which is third party, or independent, third party. And Hal, you're running independent, third party. So I feel like this is time for third party, and maybe now someone like a Don Lemon can go to the Working Families Party. They could use any help they can get. They'll take Don Lemon. They can use anything they can get. And then maybe I know you're laughing because you know how bad they are. Or maybe someone will take Tucker Carlson. Who knows? Maybe some independent party will take him too. Who knows? Any thoughts?
So,
Yeah,
go ahead, Hal.
I was just gonna say the biggest hurdle for any independent candidate is the two major parties.
Yes.
You know, you look back to Governor Ventura when he won.
Yep.
What propelled him? What was the mistake the parties made? They let him in the debates.
Yep.
They
100%.
gave him validity. They gave him credibility. They will never make that mistake again. You look here in New York, for me to get on the ballot, which is the most important thing to start off. That's if I don't get on the ballot,
I know
everything else is irrelevant. It's 3,500 signatures for my petition. That's what I need. You better believe if I don't show up with 10,000, I'm not getting on the ballot because both parties will go in with all their people to go through and try to get me off. And so that's
I'm aware of that, Hal. I spent $400,000 last year and couldn't get on the ballot. Yeah,
believe
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, I understand that you already know the game. And so that's the biggest hurdle. And I think the parties know, the two main parties, they know that the country as a whole wants another option. I mean, just look, we've got Trump and Biden on a collision course for round 2. This is the first time in history the front runners for both parties are below 50% approval.
And 70%, I saw another statistic, 70% of people that were whatever the poll was, they're like, we don't want to do this again. We don't want to do this again.
70% didn't want Biden, 60% didn't want Trump.
And absolutely.
I think, last time we had about 60% of the eligible voting population vote. I would expect if we got round 2 for it to dip 55, 54%.
Well, I don't know if you heard, the Democrats have actually said no debates.
Yeah,
Democrats are doing no debates.
That is a huge red flag.
The Republicans have pulled out of the joint debates. Republicans might do debates within their primary, but they're not going to do any debate. But they've already said they pulled out of the presidential commission for debates. And the Democrats say we're not even doing debates at the local level. By the way, for those of you who care, Libertarians will be doing a forum this Wednesday right here on Sharpe Way with 4 Libertarian president candidates. So we aren't doing that, but the others, they've already ignored it.
So go ahead, Craig. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say so that news broke today or yesterday or whatever it was about how they weren't going to do the debate, right? But that's been a discussion at least for a month now, if not longer, that I've been aware of. I saw a video on Twitter of some lady, I don't know, she did a TikTok, and I don't know if she was a pundit or who she was. But she was like, no, we can't primary Joe Biden. That's the last thing democracy needs. She said that. She said the last thing democracy needs is more democracy. And
we don't need that.
Totally.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah,
you saw it.
Yeah, that crazy nutcase blonde lady yelling in her kitchen.
Yeah, she was in her kitchen or something.
Yeah, somewhere like that, yeah.
And then someone said that to her, like, oh, really? Yeah, less democracy? And she's like, that's not what I meant. I'm like, these people, they just say things. They say the buzzwords, and they say Trump is bad for all of these buzzwords. Anything that might possibly elevate him just the slightest bit is bad for everything. So don't even think about it.
This goes to what Hal just said, right? The idea is they want the two-party system, right? The two-party system, I don't have to do anything except say other guy bad.
Yep.
That's it. I don't have to solve anything. I don't have to make anything work. I don't have to have any new policies. I just go, look, I'm not the other guy, and that guy's clearly Satan incarnate. And you don't want Satan, do you? Well, so of course, pick for me, and that's it.
Well, the thing is, too, let's look at what's being presented before us, because we're so used to seeing debates and conversations throughout all of the presidential election cycles. This time around, we're seeing something that was seen probably in antiquity, where, oh, the emperor or the king is so old, but no, there he is. The king is waving on his little perch right there. He's waving at us, so everything's fine. There's Biden. There's Trump. They're waving. They're saying hello to us. All the while, the people don't know that these two individuals are clearly, both of them are unqualified, and America could be fought over by two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. That cold bowl of soup being America. The thing is, when you don't have debates, what you do is you create a disservice, and also people that once again question how legitimate is our current ruling government over the republic. And the thing is, we don't really have legitimate rulers ruling over us. We have people who are bought by corporations, Wall Street, and big banks.
Okay.
And the thing is, when you have in a healthy democracy or in a republic, choose whichever one you want, you have multiple choices and you have people hearing different perspectives and points of view. Now, we need third parties. Now, I'm a proponent of third parties. I want there to be third parties and independence. I want that to happen. In my state of Illinois, it is extremely draconian, whereas a Republican or Democrat needs at least at the bare minimum 5,000 signatures to get on the ballot. A libertarian or green needs 25 to maybe 50,000 signatures just so they can get past the Illinois keen-eyed eagles to make sure that said third-party candidate doesn't get on the debate stage. What we need to have here is a real full-on investment by people towards third parties and independence. The problem is the establishment, big tech, and yes, the two-party system have done a phenomenal job in dismissing what a third-party campaign can effectively look like. And we've seen real effective third-party candidates. Most notably was First of all, it was Abraham Lincoln. Apologies for that. Abraham Lincoln, because he was a third party. Republican Party was a third party. Then you have Theodore Roosevelt. If I'm missing anybody else, go ahead and add in there. But you got Ross Perot, and then you have Ralph Nader, who's been vilified since 2000. And then you have Dr. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, in 2016 So these are the only points in time.
And this cool guy, Larry Sharpe, in 2018. He had a good campaign too, that guy did.
There we go.
A good campaign in 2018.
So you have these third-party candidates that were, at least in a presidential election cycle, to really shake the foundations of how people view elections. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans, how burnt out are they by politics? Are they willing to be investing in independence?
Right. And burnout's real, Kit.
The burnout is real, but also for the fact too is this election cycle is probably maybe the real last one in which the DNC and RNC can have a final saying of, you got to vote for me because we care about X, Y, and Z. But in all truth, they don't.
What's going to replace it? Why is it the last one?
Well, okay, so the reason why I'm saying it's the last one, or
Did you just
potentially
give Kit more reason to talk? Stop, Craig. Stop.
Well,
wait.
I feel like they have I don't think it's the last one at all. I think they'll have it for as long as they want it.
With Craig,
Okay. So hear me out here. Potentially, yes, they do have a stranglehold. I'm not going to argue with that. But the reason why I could see maybe this is the one where people say F this entire system. You're not having debates. We're going to get if God forbid we get a repeat of Biden versus Trump, people are finally going to say, well, these two old men don't care. Nothing's going to change. We're still in poverty. Our air, soil, water is getting polluted. We're all being screwed over. It's getting fundamentally worse.
Yes,
to where, it won't matter who sits in the throne.
Stop, Kit, stop. What I'm saying here is I'm with you, except one thing. I think most Americans will just check out. The elections will keep going.
They don't care.
They'll keep doing it. The Americans will just check out and go, who cares?
How low is the voter turnout here in New York State?
Yes, exactly. It goes down about 40%. Certain areas, upstate New York, 1 in 6 vote. They've given up. They're waiting to pack up and leave. They don't care anymore. They're like, we don't care. They don't bother voting. So you go to certain areas, upstate New York, 1 in 6 eligible voters actually vote.
And then
that's how bad it is.
The ones that do vote are the zealots on both sides.
Yes.
And then we get to be saddled with whatever bullshit they vote for and they don't pay attention. And so the thing that we've been dancing around here is discomfort, right? Discomfort
Yes.
and difficulty. People don't like to be uncomfortable, and people don't like to do hard things. And the problem is, once you introduce something other than my guy versus the other guy, things become difficult. I have to pay attention. I have to know what's going on. Also, listening to other opinions becomes uncomfortable. It makes me feel icky. I don't like that socialist guy. He just said stuff that I hate. I gotta bite my tongue. I don't know. Oh, I don't want to listen to that. I'm guilty of it. Like, I try to read a bunch of stuff that I disagree with, and I find that you've got to get over the hump. Like, there's an initial when you're reading something, you're like, oh my God, this is horrible.
You got to keep pushing.
But then once you push through it, you're like, I don't know if they finally just hit on something, like you just get used to the idea, or if
you just begin to respect that a person has a different idea than you.
Yes.
Right? By the way, I have a comment for you, Hal. Roger wants to know something. He says, Larry, I hope you get a chance to fully read over my socialist manifesto I gave you. He actually did give me that this weekend, so I do have it now. That's actually true. But he says, Hal, where are you in New York State, and what are you running for? And by the way, yes, to your point, Craig, I brought this up because I actually am reading his socialist manifesto. I'm not a socialist. But I am actually reading
Roger
it.
Meadows.
Yes, Roger, I am actually reading it. But he asked, Hal, where are you in New York State and what are you running for?
Yeah, Binghamton, New York, running for Congress, the 19th district in New York.
Very good.
That's Molinaro's district?
Molinaro, yes. Molinaro and Josh Riley, round 2 coming up.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. Yes.
But,
I know Mark.
I think, I don't know Mark, but what I know of him, seems like a nice guy. Same with Riley. Both seem like great guys. Both seem like they are servants to their party's leadership, and they are, we will get no more than what the party allows them to give us. But I think to the larger problem, I think, is in recent years with media becoming more left-leaning, right-leaning, more opinion and talking heads. The parties have done a really good job at using that to their advantage. And so if you turn on the news these days, what do you see? You see people arguing. Today, we've got Mr. Left, we've got Mrs. Right, and they're going to talk about this issue that really isn't that important. But this is what they're going to do.
I disagree, Hal. I don't think we see them fighting. We see them all saying the same thing.
I think we see them arguing, and I think even more than me seeing that, the person who doesn't tune in all the time, when they tune in, this is what they're seeing. They're seeing arguing and bickering, and my point is right. No, my point is right. And I don't know. It's weird to me that seems like something you don't see when you turn on cable news.
Hal, I got to tell you, I don't see that at all. What I see, this is what I see cable news, right? I see, hi, I'm on left-leaning show. Let me tell you the news on how bad the right is. Coming on for reaction is Craig, left-leaning guy, to tell me how right I am on how bad the right is. And then he comes on and says, yes, the Democrats are evil. They're terrible. I hate them. And I go, yeah, I hate them. Then bring another guy on who's going to tell me how right I am. Yes, Larry, you're so super smart. You've said everything correct. Everything you said, you're so awesome. I go to Fox News and get the opposite, except to your point, Kit. I think Tucker didn't do that. But watch a Hannity show or a Rachel Maddow show. It's the same people who believe what they say coming on, and they actually say it. We're bringing on so-and-so for reaction.
Well,
not for information.
You get
not for anything, but for reaction.
Hold that thought, Kit. I'm sorry. Hold that thought. You do get some of that, but I think you get plenty of arguing. And I know that because I watch it, and my wife will come in and she'll be like, "Oh, they're just arguing again." And what my point being is that the people that aren't dug in, that minority that we talked about at the beginning, America is largely independent. And you see that in places like Kansas and Kentucky, North Carolina, where they have Democratic governors. Kansas voted to affirm abortion rights. The country is not as dug in as people think, but the loudest voices are.
Yeah.
And so it turns off the people that are in the middle that might consider a third-party candidate. So when it comes time to vote, the parties have done their job. They've pushed out the third-party candidates. They can't get in. And so now the people that weren't paying attention, that might have considered that third-party candidate, they're not there. Now they've got to vote.
Or they already voted for the lesser of the two evils. I run into this all the time with the voting. The early voting now in New York State, when you're out trying to beat the pavement at the last minute, like, oh, I wish I knew about this guy before I filled out the petition 2 weeks ago, or before I filled out my ballot 2 weeks ago. I would have voted for him, but instead I voted for one of the two assholes because I thought I only had two choices.
Right.
It happens all the time. The system is rigged 18 different ways, and that's the problem. Is it's rigged and everyone knows it's rigged, but they don't want to take the time to understand it, and they want to try it once and have it work. They did this with Larry, where people voted for him once and then they said, he didn't win, I'm never going to do that again. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you were all gung-ho. You said this system is terrible, I'm going to leave it, except I'm not going to leave it. I'm going to come back.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So let me do a little bit of admin if I could. Guys, again, if you're watching and you like what you're hearing, then click the like button. That button does matter. You got to click it so I can get past the algorithms so that people can notice this so we can keep growing. So you might think it doesn't matter. It does matter. If you haven't subscribed, if you're on YouTube, then please subscribe if you haven't already. Please do that. If you want your comment to get to the front, super chat it. If you're watching on YouTube, super chat it. It'll get right to the front. I'll pop it right out. Even if it's something dumb or silly, I don't care. I'll still do it anyway. It doesn't matter. I do it all the time. So, good. Especially, Craig's right. Especially if it's dumb or stupid, super chat.
That's a dare. Sure. That's a dare. Let's see what
that's
you
a
can
dare.
do.
Exactly right. If you're watching this on Twitter, then please retweet this so people can see it. It does matter. And lastly, if you would, please support the people who showed up tonight. Follow them on Twitter. See what they're doing. Click on their website. See what they're doing. You can follow Kit at Kit Cabello. And if you're listening to this, there's 2 L's. KITCABELLO. Please also check out Hal Stewart. It's Hal 4NY 2 underscores. And please check out Craig at Diff Frequencies. That's 3 F's. Diff, 2 F's, Frequencies, another F. So there we go. So thank you guys. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I got some of that admin done. Keep going. I apologize.
So I want to add on to what Hal was saying. You do see arguments on corporate media, but I would compare it more to it's fake wrestling. It's what you would see on WWE. Yes, you have the occasional promo, to your point, Larry, where you have somebody who's on the liberal establishment agreeing with the liberal host, and then you'll have their little back and forth with maybe either commenting on what was said on Fox News or said by a Republican politician, and they'd be like, I can't believe he said this. I will see him at SummerSlam this week. Well, and it will be finally Sunday. Exactly. And so the thing is that's what corporate media and Washington, D.C. is. It's one big show. It's SmackDown, it's Raw, it's WCW, it's ECW. It's one big show. All the while, we're all spectators witnessing this, but their actions aren't making our lives better. See, we're seeing professional actors pretend to be leaders or pretend to be journalists, all the while ignoring the fact that Americans are losing small businesses, our infrastructure is falling apart,
100%.
Our economy is struggling. I don't care where you're at. Don't tell me that you ain't struggling, because it is a struggle right now. I mean, we are in a neoliberal hellhole, and it is something in which you would think responsible leaders or media as a whole would be shining a light on. Like, what happened? Why is there raw sewage pouring into our front lawn? Why is everything on fire? Why is everything a goddamn nightmare?
But people aren't giving us the news, right? And Roger, come back. I'm gonna give Roger again. He says, speak it for yourself, Larry. I'm over 50. I'm immune to CNN. My dad was too cheap to pay for cable vision. I'd go over to a friend's house to watch cable, and the last thing I watched was CNN. Okay, Roger's my age, but Roger, it's not just me. You think it's just me? Grace says, Gen X remember CNN in its glory days. Yes, it's not just, maybe not you, Roger, but a lot of people in my generation and older, we do remember CNN for the time when they were actually a regular news station. In fact, at one point, kind of the only one at one point, right?
James Earl Jones was the voice of CNN.
James Earl Jones was the voice. Absolutely. I do think there is still some of that's there, right? That we do think, I think there's some of that's there still. It's not just me. But that's going away.
What was it that you were just saying? I had a comment to make on it, but I've lost.
He was talking about wrestling. We're all just
wrestling. The show. Yes, it is all a show.
Which show? ECW, WCW, or WWF?
It's a shit show. It's the shit show, is what it is.
That's what it is.
So it is a show, and once you accept that, it's much easier to ignore it. The problem is people still watch the show and they think it's real. Public school. I went to public school and I learned a few things, but they did teach me that anything that you saw on the television was not real. At some point, all of a sudden people forgot that. They're like, no, it is real. It's a real thing. So once you realize that these people are just putting on a show and every time they promise you something, they're not going to do it. You ignore them. People need to understand that. Anytime Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Uncle Joe or Kamala Harris gets up there and they promise you something, they are lying to you. They're not going to follow through. All they're going to do is dangle that carrot until the midterms or until the next election. And then if you're Barack Obama and you say, you know, abortion's really important to me, you get to your second term and you're like, actually, I don't really care. I'll just let the Republicans cancel that in 10 years. So I don't give a shit. Uncle Joe.
Your point, you're exactly right. What drives me crazy, and this is why I think this is what Hal's talking about. People want something independent because the Democrats aren't giving the left what they want, and the Republicans aren't giving the right what they want. Nobody's getting what they want, but they keep voting for the same parties that don't do what they're supposed to do, right? If you're left-leaning, you're voting for Democrats, you wanted Roe v. Wade to be codified. That's one of the reasons why you voted for a Democrat, right? You wanted a $15 minimum wage. One reason why you voted for Democrat. You wanted Medicare for all. That's why you voted for Democrats. You got none of that. You got nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, of course you're pissed off. You're like, I
within
was ready about these guys.
Within, you think about Obama, he had a filibuster-proof Senate and Congress.
Super majority.
2 years. And they did get Obamacare passed, but barely. They nothing else. The Republicans had a majority in the Republican or in the Congress or the House and the Senate with Trump for 2 years. They did get the tax bill, not the wall that Trump promised that he talked about. Nothing else. And so I think part of that is it all comes down to one thing, and that's money, right? Why fix a problem that we can continue to campaign on and blame the other side for?
It's one of the reasons. And hold on, I'm not. You guys know I didn't vote for Trump. I want Gary Johnson to be my president, but I'm gonna give Trump credit for this. Trump actually produced more for the right, for Republicans, than most Republican presidents did. He actually got those tax cuts through, and he got the judges, which got them to get rid of the overturn Roe v. Wade. Right? He did do some of the. Again, to your point, Hal, not nowhere near as much, but he did something. This is why people still want him. Like, he'll come in, he'll do it again. They actually still believe it because he did some of the stuff that he said he would do, but no one else does anything they said they're going to do.
Well, the thing
look
is,
at the deficit. I mean, which party is the party of the deficit? Most people would say it's the Republicans, but it's not the case. They only care about the deficit when there's a Democratic president, but by far it's been Democratic presidents that have reduced the deficit.
100%. Republicans are supposed to end the Fed, audit the Fed. They don't. Take care of debt. They don't. They run up more debt than anybody. Republicans are terrible on all that stuff. They tell people they're going to be fiscally conservative, and they are never fiscally conservative ever. You're completely correct.
On Fox News, when I go to see my family watches Fox News, they were talking about, was it DeSantis? DeSantis has a campaign ad that is saying, I'm going to protect your Social Security. I love Social Security. Social Security is important. I pointed it to my dad. I said, see, Republicans love socialism. Like, I don't know. They both love big government. Like, you're not going to tell me there's a party of small government. There is none. They all love big government. They just like to tell the big government what to do.
Mm-hmm. So how you have a fan? Dan says, chronically online, I'm gonna have to remember that one. So you got a fan, Hal.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's good.
So the thing is that there is though an environment in which people who are on the left and right want to hear independent minds. The problem is that there's a system being put in place to silence a lot of that voice. All right. Now look, Hardlands Media, not once, but 7 times was almost destroyed, demonetized, and shadow banned. All right. And there are other independent media networks that had to deal with the YouTube algorithm, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. So the thing is, there is an environment and it's growing. Look, more Americans identify themselves as independents. This isn't up for debate. It's a real truth. But the thing is, big tech being in bed with corporate media and the two-party system will do everything everything they can to make sure that you don't see Hard Lens Media or Larry Sharpe or anything from Craig or anything from Hal. And the reason why I know this is because if I were to watch one of my videos, Hard Lens Media, I'm going to get 5 recommendations from YouTube of here's a video from CNN or MSNBC or from from any other corporate media network. And
they always push me to PBS. Every time I watch anything that I want to watch, the next video is PBS. And it's like, this is what you should think. And I'm like, why? What? You're not even being subtle about it.
Craig, you better watch PBS because listen, we almost lost Big Bird from the Challenger explosion. Okay, so you better watch PBS. Okay, because we almost lost Big Bird, buddy. And yes, that's a thing. Big Bird was almost on the Challenger explosion. So there you go.
Well, that's a good thing. I'm glad he wasn't. But remember there was a thing where someone tried to kill Big Bird, right? Mitt Romney was going to kill Big Bird. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten that one. That's right.
You want me to say Big Bird?
Yeah. I had forgotten that until Kit just mentioned Big Bird.
Can I just say good. Big Bird got more mentions tonight than Don Lemon?
Yes, you're right.
Because Big Bird's relevant. Big Bird is far more relevant than Don Lemon ever will be.
Or Don Lemon, him getting fired the same day as Tucker is like if you bring home a report card with straight A's, but your older brother just got a scholarship to Harvard. Nobody cares about your straight A's anymore.
No one cares, buddy.
Right, yes. That's terrible. That is terrible. Patty says, I've been told you, Larry, are okay by my left friends. Oh, okay. I get to be okay by left friends. I like that. Because you, like Bernie, reach out to everyone, but those real libertarians are far right. I guess I can just talk to anyone. This is a good point you brought up. And I think this goes to what you talked about, Kit. When, for anything, whether it is someone who doesn't like someone because of an ethnic background, a gender or sexual minority, a political minority, whatever it is, the first step is somebody going, oh, maybe they're not all that bad thing. Maybe there's at least one that's okay. That's the first step, right? And then they go, well, let me talk to the rest. Because how many people, particularly in the 80s and 90s, all of a sudden thought gay people okay because their family and friends were coming out. And they were like, oh, my cousin's gay? I didn't know that. Oh, my brother's gay or whatever. Or they saw a gay person on TV, then one of their friends came out as gay. And they're like, oh, maybe they're not all whatever bad thing I think. And I think that's a good point. When you have someone show up who is not the stereotype that you've decided that they are, you then go, maybe I should talk to other people. Maybe there's other ones that are good too. And I think it's a critical piece.
So this is a big deal. This is something that the two parties do really well too, is trust in me. Like, it's like Ka from the Jungle Book, right? They hypnotize these people and you will give your life for Donald Trump, or you will defend Uncle Joe sniffing small children until you're blue in the face. And you'll scream at your neighbor or you'll scream at your uncle. You can't even have Thanksgiving anymore. They're dividing families. They're dividing communities. And people don't have a family. They don't have a community anymore because Don Lemon told them to hate their uncle instead of, okay, well, he's a little weird. I don't like what he has to say. It's and they're inserting themselves between you and your family and the people that actually deal with you. They don't even know you. They're just some face on a television.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. So I had some people talking about the queens and stuff. Let's see. Grace says Cleopatra was my first big fat Greek queen. That's actually funny. It's actually funny. And then Joe says Macedonian. Yes, the Alexander was Macedonian, but the Ptolemaic Greeks weren't necessarily Macedonian. They were Greek, but they weren't necessarily Macedonian. As Alexander was actually Hellenizing the world, the most common name was Alexandria, or the town of Alexander. He went even all the way into Afghanistan. That's how far he went. He was only 33 when he died, by the way. He Hellenized the world to include conquering Greece.
Me feel good, Larry.
Yes, in a conquering Greek. And by the way, just you say that's actually a thing. I believe maybe it was Napoleon. He looked upon a statue of Alexander and said, look at what he had done at 33. I have done nothing.
No, that was Caesar. That was Julius Caesar.
Was that Caesar?
That was Julius
Napoleon.
Caesar. Yeah, no, that
Here
was
we go.
Julius Caesar because he sighed because Alexander was in his 20s when he conquered, and Caesar, I think, was in his mid 40s.
Yes.
And he was very distraught about it. But also, side note about Cleopatra, the Cleopatra that we're all talking about is Cleopatra the Seventh. There were
That is
6
correct.
other
She's the seventh.
Cleopatras. There were 6 other
That's right.
Cleopatras.
Cleopatra was absolutely a crazy common name back in those days for the elites, and most of them married their own sisters and brothers in those days.
Yeah, look at
Sounds
the
like the
skeletal remains.
Targaryens.
Yeah, look
That's
at
correct,
the skeletal
yes.
remains of King Tut. That, oh my God, he was
Yes.
horribly deformed. Jesus.
Absolutely. And Joe says, wasn't Queen Elizabeth German? Indeed, she is. In fact, the entire British line is a German line. They changed the name during World War I. It is literally a German line. They brought Germans over.
They said, no, we don't like those Germans.
Nine.
Correct. In fact, That's correct.
Nine.
Most of the British royal family is actually German. In fact, the King George III, I believe, was the George that we were fighting in the Revolutionary War. His first language was German. English was his second language.
Well,
So
that's the case with most of those European.
Well, the advantage
now-
was, again, we're doing history lessons. Dan saying, I love a history lesson. Let me keep doing it then since you like it so much. the Germany is a very young country. People don't realize that. Germany became a country in 1871. So it's a very young country. So prior to that, there were literally dozens of Germanic states and principalities, all of them with their own kings and queens and princes. Therefore, there was so much royalty in the Germanic states that whenever you had a problem, you could just grab a Germanic prince or Germanic princess to fill your royal line because they all had royal blood. That's why so much of the royalty is Germanic. That's why, because there was so many princes and princes there. In fact, during World War I, the King of England, the Tsar of Russia, and King Wilhelm II of Germany were all cousins.
And that goes back to Ludwig.
That's correct. Goes back to Ludwig II of Bavaria. Absolutely. Yes.
Exactly.
So
I think
anyway, good history lesson for you guys.
There you go. I was going to mention something about
Patty
Queen
says
Victoria, but never
Nefertiti had
mind.
more power, landed and had a better story. But Nefertiti, I believe, was black. I'm pretty sure she had Nubian blood in her.
Yes, she was.
I think yes, Nefertiti actually had Nubian blood in her. I think she actually was black. So Nefertiti, you could have a black actress for that one. I'm sorry, I yapped away, guys. I apologize. I just you got me going off on history, so
Germany. His German roots were coming out.
I do have German history. I will tell you an interesting story, guys. This is a little bit off topic, but my parents lied to me about me being adopted. It's a true story. So my mother was a German immigrant. She came here. My father, he was in the army in Germany and came over here, and here I am, right? I didn't know that I was adopted. So I always thought that I was half German. My mother was German, but that was my adopted mother, not my birth mother. I didn't find out that I was adopted until I was 30. Literally, my father already passed. My mom I was thinking about looking for my family because I was getting older, and I thought, let me see if there's any, issues, what's going on with my father. She's like, he's not your father. I'm like, what? You're not your father. Because my parents got divorced when I was 2. So I thought my divorced father was my father. I said, oh my God, am I not German? She's like, I don't know. So I did 2 different DNA tests. I did a 23andMe, another ancestry, something or other, whatever I did. And come to find out, totally random, I am actually German. Just total luck. I could have been anything. I have no idea.
That's all those German princes running all around. See, that was it.
It's all them damn German princes everywhere, screwing everything up. And so I got a little German blood in me. So I'm actually German anyway. So yes. And I do know that from the black side of my family, that my family actually comes from modern day Nigeria and Cameroon. The slaves that came over from that area. I'm black on my father's side. So I do know that. So I actually know because of 23andMe, a little bit of my background. So interesting story for you guys. Yes, I did not know.
I got to quote Dave Davis here. Blackadder's response to British as Queen Victoria was, so your father is German, you're half German, and you married a German.
For those of you who don't know, Blackadder is a BBC comedy. So yes.
Great stuff. Yes, my favorite episode was this Witch Hunter Smelter.
Blackadder was a riot. Absolutely a great show.
Witch Hunter. That was bloody milk. Bloody milk.
So Joe brings up it's 5,000 plus petitions for U.S. House seats in Florida. So he's actually got more than you.
Is that for somebody? Is that for somebody with ballot access or non-ballot access?
No, not ballot access.
Yeah,
not ballot access. So yeah, 5,000. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the best part.
I guess.
I was just going to say the best part about the petitioning is you have to wait until the Democrats and Republicans get all their signatures. And then the people that signed those petitions can't sign your petitions. So they get to have theirs first. Just another little way that the system is rigged. It's just, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Again, the key is to get, if you think you're going to get the minimum and get on the ballot, you're out of your mind. If you think you're going to be even 1,000 over, you have to be more than double to have a chance and to hope, because somebody changed an address, they got their address wrong or some misspelling, whatever they can do, and you'll get attacked from both sides. They'll both be happy enough to avoid it. And then the other side of that, if the debate threshold is 20%, you could be at 20% and they see that and they're like, oh, we're going to make it 25 this year.
Yes.
So the odds are
well, I want to bring up this piece, right? And because you brought this up, I'll go back to the independent piece, because the reality of it is I think you're going to see debates. And the reason why I say it is independent media is going to want to have debates. How do I know that? I'm doing it. I want it. And other co-moderators are coming on board and doing it with me. What debates are really about is not about anything except ad revenue. People want ad revenue. I've said before and I'll say it again. If Kanye West had run an actual campaign, obviously he didn't, but if he had run an actual campaign for president, he would have been in debates. Because I'm 100% sure I would have watched those debates with Kanye in them. And I know all three of you would have watched them too. So we all would have watched those debates. No doubt we'll watch that debate. And CNN and Fox knew that we would all watch that debate. So they would have had Kanye in that debate so they can get the ad revenue. Now, if there wouldn't have been a debate commission, they would have simply made their own town hall or presidential forum or whatever. They might not have been official debates, but they will have them. How do I know this? In 2016, when Gary Johnson was running, CNN had Gary Johnson and Bill Weldon a couple of times to test the waters, to see how well. They had them, if you remember, they had a couple of town hall with Gary Johnson. That wasn't because they loved Gary Johnson. They didn't care about Gary Johnson. That was to see if Johnson and Weld could pull an audience. If they could pull an audience, they would have fought to get them into debates. That's what was going to happen. Sadly, they weren't exciting enough to pull a big enough audience, so it didn't work. But if you remember right after that, when they had like 19 different Democratic people running for office, and then decide what was the top table. Mm-hmm. Yes, you remember that? They had two different separate debates. How did they decide on that? By how much audience poll. That's why they had those separate town halls, everybody, testing the audience. This is all about popularity. If you're popular, Hal, you get in debates. You're not
wait
popular,
a minute.
You don't.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about popularity, because Tulsi Gabbard not once but twice was the most searched candidate during two Democratic primary debates, and she knocked out. Let's be clear here. She destroyed Kamala Harris's campaign.
Yes.
The DNC did everything they could to make sure Tulsi Gabbard would never be back on the stage. That's something that happened. And so you could bring in the views and the audience and the people. But the thing is, remember, establishment media does want to control the narrative. Now, with independents,
correct.
Let's face it, there might be even a bigger issue, because the people who control the DNC and RNC also control Fox, CBS, ABC, CNN, MSNBC. So the thing is, you could bring in the people, you could be a frontliner, but if you are too good, they'll quiet you right away, because Tulsi Gabbard, not once but twice, Google did everything they could to suppress her in regards for people searching to find out more about Tulsi. And that's something that happened in 2020.
I think though,
I
think Tulsi had her own share of flaws, and I think she was more interesting than popular. I think she was less of somebody that people are like ready to get behind, and more a personality people want to know more about.
Well, I do think something else happened here with this, right? Two parts. Number one, those debates were already popular. They didn't require Tulsi to give them any extra oomph. They were already popular. But the second piece is, to your point, Kit, the DNC, if it wants to make sure it controls things, will buy a bunch of ads.
True.
They'll buy ads on a station that they don't need to have any ads on, just to control the narrative. right? So now I'm going to drop $2 million on your ads. I don't think Tulsi should be on, right? Yeah, you're right, 100%. Keep giving me that $1 million, right? I never forget this. I learned this like 15 years ago. I was watching a Sunday morning show, like Meet the Press or something like that. I forgot what the show was. It was some kind of Monday morning show, a Sunday morning show. And I saw an ad for Kerr McGee. Kerr McGee is a company that, in this case, I don't know if they still make it. They used to make offshore drilling oil platforms. That's what they made. And the commercial was talking about them making offshore drilling platforms. I said to myself, who the hell watches in the morning and goes, that's what I need, another offshore platform. Thanks, Kerr McGee. Let me call you up and buy one. Of course not. I thought, why do they do that? They do it because they want to control the narrative. So now if you start saying bad things about oil companies, I'm going to pull my advertisement. So I keep and every break was the exact same Kerr McGee ad. Every break. And I was like, man, they have thrown a lot of money at this. Oh, yeah, you're not going to say anything bad about oil companies because you're going to lose all the ad revenue. So I guess I'm just reinforcing what you're saying, Kit, right? They will buy all the ads to make sure you do what they say.
Yeah, and another thing that happened in those debates was Kamala Harris called her future president and vice president, said he was a racist. Said Joe Biden is a horrible racist. Horrible racist. And now they're best friends. They're besties. They tweet and they take pictures together. And so that just gets back to like Kit's whole it's all a show, right? And Tulsi said that. Kamala said that. They asked Kamala, they said, hey, how do you like being the VP? You said Joe Biden was a horrible racist. And she said, yeah, that was a debate. And it's like,
correction, Craig. She said it like this. It was a debate, and then she did her little Joker cackle. So then she did her little laughs.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, though. That's politics, though. I mean, it's whether I know in this case she became his VP, so it's a little more extreme, but you'll see that in the debates coming up between the Republican candidates. They'll talk smack, and then they all fall in line. At all levels locally, that's always going to happen. That's not
it happened.
You're trying to win, and then you don't win. Now you got to get behind your guy.
And that's the thing that rubs me the wrong way the most about it, is because people don't acknowledge that. People are, it's just politics. That's just like, why are you encouraging that behavior? If that's an act, what else is an act? If it's all why is this just some beauty pageant where we get the nicest guy up there and then everybody else is like, oh yes, he is the queen. Like, I thought we were concerned about like actual problems, actual solutions. No, most people aren't.
Yeah, this is the third time now it's come up that this is an act. This is WWE. This is, theater. I mean, how many of our politicians are there not to serve, not to solve problems, but to self-promote? Now they're running podcasts.
Exactly.
It is unfortunately a game. It's the stakes of elections are far greater than winning an election. But you wouldn't know that from 100%. Our politicians.
So I'm going to both compliment you and insult you here, Kit. So please take it. I'm going to do both. Dan says, Bill Maher used to be my favorite liberal. I think Kit Cabello has knocked him out of that slot.
Oh, geez.
Kit does not consider himself a liberal. So you just insulted him by calling him a liberal. However, you're saying you like Kit. So he both insulted you and he complimented you, Kit.
Well, I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't take that as an insult. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a vote blue, no matter who. I identify myself more as a left-leaning independent. But okay, if you like me better than Bill Maher, I'll roll with it. Why not?
There we go.
All right, check
he
out
just pulled a Kamala Harris. You see how he changed his tune? Would have benefited him. Yeah.
There you go.
Kamala Cabello. I love it.
Check out Harlan's Media in the morning at 9 a.m. Central. You'll enjoy the show. We got a great lineup of stuff and things to talk about, and to get you righteously angry as you head to work in on the week. So there you go.
There we go. Yeah. I like that. There we go. Craig, go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, so just another note on those debates. If you watch the SNL, where they always spoof it, all of the candidates were like kind of normal, like they were quirky or whatever. But Tulsi Gabbard they made look
I remember
crazy.
that.
Yeah,
You
that's
remember
right.
that?
They did that.
She,
Oh my
she,
God.
she was a supervillain. I'm like, see, I'm like, she's the threat. I'm like, everybody else is like semi-legitimate. Like, oh, I can see myself voting, but they made her like literally, like a Satanist or something. Like, I don't remember what it was, but she was like evil and had this crazy laugh and stuff. And I'm like, it's so subtle, but so blatant. Like, it's subtle if you don't, if you're not tuned in, if you're not the independent one on the outside. But yeah, it's crazy.
So people like what you're saying, Craig. You got a bunch. You got Spot on Craig. You got Craig's on fire. You got a bunch of good ones, Craig. People like what you're saying. You guys are rocking.
Good.
I love it. But I do want to, if I could, I mean, I don't want to be totally this. I do want to talk a little bit about Don Lemon. I do.
I don't want to talk about Don Lemon.
I know, but a little bit. Only because, I mean,
Well, wait,
right?
Larry.
No
if
one's
we're gonna be
talking
talking
to him because of Tucker. But if Tucker didn't didn't leave, I don't know if he got fired. If Tucker
Nobody would
leave,
still care about Don Lemon.
No, we'd be dumping on Don. That's what tomorrow's would be doing, but we'd still be talking about him at least. So, is there? I've said something not years ago. Yeah, probably a couple years ago now. I said CNN is in trouble. They tried to become MSNBC, but MSNBC is already MSNBC, so that was a waste of time for them. I said what they should have become was a documentary channel. People actually watch CNN documentaries. They do a documentary on like Princess Diana or JFK or something. People actually watch those. In fact, those actually get more views than their news, right? When they have cool documentaries. And you can sell those documentaries to different channels and to different, people. You can sell it. Just you have a group of people who know how to research, right? That's what CNN had from back in the 80s and 90s. You still have those people here. Do documentaries, become a documentary channel. Sell your documentaries. People will watch it. They like it. Let MSNBC and Fox fight it out. I don't know. Am I wrong here?
Here's the thing with CNN. CNN, look, to your point, was at one point maybe a powerhouse, but the thing is, they started coasting on their past successes and assuming people would go along with them. And then as the environment started to change, they started to quickly try and be hip and cool, all the while looking completely cringe. Let's be very clear. That's what happened to CNN. And in their mad rush to remain relevant, it led to their epic failure of CNN Plus. If that's not evidence enough to show that eventually CNN will end up as a dead industry, I don't know what does, because you have a streaming service that went bankrupt in one goddamn month. Here's the thing, and I will say this with absolute high confidence. Give anyone in the audience $100K of that billions of that $250 million that was put into CNN. Give anyone in your audience right now watching that, and any one of us right here, we can go miles and light years ahead with $100K from that $250 million that CNN lost and went belly up in 1 month. The people
100%.
running that institution don't know what they're doing. The people they have spewing out the propaganda news are only there for the paycheck. They are completely irrelevant. Corporate media is in its downward spiral of extinction. It's not the end, but it's the beginning of the end, in which we can finally look at corporate media being the irrelevant institution for what it is.
So
it still has some staying power,
point, Kit,
but not
this
enough.
Goes back to your original point. The idea of this might be the time where a guy like Tucker goes off and does something, the equivalent of the Spotify piece or something, right? Or the Joe Rogan thing. And then that thing now becomes big. Does he do his own show? Does he join Daily Wire? I mean, I have no idea if he has any relationship at all. I'm making that totally. Right? Does he do something? Does he make his own thing? Does he join like, The Hill or something? Does he do something like that? Or something totally crazy? Like, does he decide to, I'm going to be the new guy who makes, Rumble a thing, right? He turns Rumble into a thing, right? Something like that. Is that what happens? I think you might be right. I see your point. And as you keep talking, I'm thinking that might be the actual answer.
Well, so the other issue that we have here is it's not necessarily the consumers that prop up these organizations. Just like everything that's big, it's got checks from the government. It's got the CIA helping produce content. It's got all of these things, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you're assuming, right, that their success is based on who watches. it's not necessarily only based on that. It's based on the backdoor support they're getting from who knows where. And then the question becomes too, okay, if they do go under, now where does Project Mockingbird go? Where do they go and they do their, what's because they're not going to stop trying to control you. They were doing it with Twitter. They're doing it with Facebook. They're doing it with all those. But can they infiltrate, or does it take a lot of time? Are they going to make a Fed? Are they going to make a Fed site? Right? That's like, oh, this is the cool new thing. But you saw it with TikTok, right? In the Strict Act.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe it'll move off of cable, but is the environment really going to change is the question.
I don't know. Right. Shannon agrees with Hal. She says politicians have become glorified celebrities. And I'm going to tell you, that's the reason why, if you remember, Justin Amash left Congress. And we asked him, why'd you leave Congress? You had a seat. What are you doing? Why'd you leave Congress? He said, I can't do anything in Congress because nothing moves because the two parties control everything. So I can't do anything in Congress. So instead, I just might as well tweet. I have as much power tweeting and being on social media and going on podcasts as I do being a congressman. And I was like, wow. But I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that was his thought. I think it's kind of what you're talking about, Hal.
Yeah, who's the most popular congressman right now? I mean, if you can rattle one off?
AOC,
yeah. The guy
Are you serious? Come on. Oh my God. AOC.
Yes. No doubt she is.
Forgetting what you think about them. Forget what you think about them for a moment. How many people know Katie Porter, who is out there every day, combating people with facts and figures and trying to get actual things done?
She's fighting.
How many people know AOC and Jim Jordan, who are just out there performing for the masses?
Very true. Good point. No, I think you're right. You made Kit get a headache, but still, you're still right though. You are still correct. AOC is popular and she's done nothing, but she's very popular. I agree.
She's done worse than nothing. She killed a union.
That's also true.
The
She's
socialist
having a union.
She's also been heavily antagonizing the left and independent media. She systematically burnt the bridges of all the people that helped her in her first initial campaign in 2018. Look, as far as I'm concerned about these politicians, to add to Shannon's point, not only are they glorified celebrities, they miss their calling to be celebrities and actors and actresses, because these people, all what they do is they know how to act and say word salads. If you check out AOC's recent interview with Jen Psaki, I mean, she talks about wind turbines, and then when Jen Psaki starts asking her who in the new Democrat Congress has inspired you, are there any groups that really you want to name, she couldn't name one. She gave a goddamn word salad. These people are completely uncreative. So, Hal, look, I agree with you, man, okay? You called it out. Yes, Katie Porter speaks truth to power, and a lot of people know AOC. But, God damn it, sooner or later, that veil is going to break down because all what AOC can do is say goddamn word salads.
And
she
people eat it.
Nothing
they
to the
eat it right up. People
they
eat
like
that salad
it. They're
right
like,
up.
give me some more of that salad. Delicious.
They put
Delicious
the
salad.
Caesar salad dressing on there. They watch Cleopatra and they eat up that word salad.
Oh my gosh.
You trying to trigger everybody here, Craig. You trying to trigger everybody.
Craig, it's not just a word salad. It's a goddamn crap salad, or that infamous shit steak that was served to Ron Burgundy.
I'll
You
eat
gotta eat the cat turd.
I'll eat the shit.
Go ahead, Hal. Go ahead, Hal.
What's the lady down in Georgia? Why I can't think of her name right now. Come on. Georgia Congresswoman.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
MTG.
Yes.
MTG.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Absolutely.
I mean,
MTG killing it out
what
there.
has she
Yelling and
ever
screaming
said?
and doing nothing.
She is like a completely void of all substance, but she is going to win. If she doesn't
100%.
try to do anything else, she is set until she's ready to retire.
100%.
Without
You're completely
doing
correct.
a single thing except telling everybody how bad they are. And she'll be 73 years old, still talking about Hunter Biden.
Are you sure she'll be 73? Because I've seen those workout videos she does. Sooner or later, she's going to snap her back, and then she's going to be like, come on.
Those pull-ups. Those pull-ups are...
I listen.
I don't know if
Larry
those
served
are,
in the Marine Corps like with me, okay? That is not how you do a goddamn pull-up.
That's not.
That is
correct.
a...
That's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
That ain't
correct.
it.
Anyway, Grace says, King Charles speaks fluent German and recently visited Germany. This is true. I've heard King Charles speak German. He does. He speaks German fluently. So yes, I mean, just like if you hear him speak German, if you're not German, you would think he's German. That is literally how fluent. And then Roger says Germany has the oldest public bank, the Sparkhausen Federation. Germany also was the first country, believe it or not, to create a social security system in a modern world. First one. So yes, also true. So there we go. I don't know how we got into the history thing, but boy, we did. So Shannon thought you were talking about Stacey Abrams.
Oh,
and that's another great point.
Ugh.
Stacey Abrams has lost every election and is still popular and rich.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Lose? Like I lost
Larry.
2 elections. How come I'm not popular and rich?
Larry,
Yeah, you're the one kind of popular.
Larry, you made the biggest mistake ever. You weren't on Star Trek Discovery and made president of Earth like Stacey Abrams was, okay?
That's
So there
true.
you
She
go.
was. And I know some people right now literally just threw up in their mouth, but you are correct, Kit. In Star Trek, Stacey Abrams played the president of Earth. That is
There you
100%
go.
true.
Well done.
That is 100% true.
Oh, no
Yes.
idea.
Yes, I know.
That
So, yes.
triggers me right there to have a
Good, you deserve it, Craig, for triggering
Yeah,
me
yeah.
over that Cleopatra stuff.
You know-
Take that.
Staying on the topic of independence, that Stacey Abrams is a great example of how independent the country is, because in the midst of Ossoff and the other senator winning Georgia, she could not win her
Yes.
election, as Georgia is going Democratic, and she being immensely popular among Democratic circles, she's being rejected by independent voters.
Absolutely. Well, again, and this is a good example. You know, the party that was stopping her, Libertarians, we were the ones who were running in Georgia, and the runoff was because of Libertarian candidates. Libertarian candidates, we are the candidates. We got 2 and 3% of the vote. The independents, we drew them over to us. And we weren't in the runoffs, obviously, but we created the runoffs in both times. Shane
that
Hazel and Chase Oliver. We had 2 Libertarians running. We made it happen. Yes.
that happened here in New York State with Claudia Tenney and Anthony Brindisi. Our libertarian had 4,000 votes, and
Yes.
Claudia almost did not go to Congress. Like she almost
Claudia was not happy with us, Craig. She
I
was
know.
not happy with us.
I know, and
I know Claudia. I know
know you do.
Claudia. She was not happy with us. She was like, Larry, you got to stop this guy, Keith. I'm like,
well,
I can't really do that, Claudia. I would love to, but I
But then she also hated the Board of Elections here. Also, the Board of Elections messed up this latest election. The one that you were in. They messed up that one, got national coverage. Claudia almost couldn't go to Congress because they couldn't count the votes because of the sticky notes. And then they replaced it all, and they still didn't get it right this time around. So this is the thing about election integrity. Like, people are like, oh, no, our elections are great. I live in a county where we haven't gotten one right, like, in a long time. And it's national news, and everyone's like, you can't question that. I don't know. I'm questioning it a lot.
Okay, Kit, you just hurt Patty because you told her that. Now Patty is no longer a Trekkie.
Well, see, I'm not a Star Trek fan either. See, here's the thing. I'm Warhammer 40K. I'm Warhammer 40K.
So let's make sure Stacey does not go on Warhammer 40K. We'll be okay.
No, Warhammer 40K is just wonderful. It's perfect. It's a grim, dark future for us all to enjoy.
Well, there we go. Speaking of that, let me quickly do a little bit of admin. If I could, guys, if you like what you're seeing, please click the like button. I know I tell you every once in a while because it does, but don't forget, if you've forgotten, please do it. If you're new and you haven't done it yet, you're watching, please do that. If you watch this on Twitter, please retweet this so that other people can see it. If you want your comment to come to the front, you can support the channel by super chatting if you're watching on Larry Sharpe YouTube. But regardless of what you do, please show some love to the people who showed up tonight. They're here showing you some love. Show them some love. Follow them. Kit Cabello, Hal4NY, 2 underscores, and Diff Frequencies. That's 3 Fs. Diff Frequencies to follow Craig. Follow them all on Twitter. They're all doing cool stuff. And Hal, do me a favor. Before we wrap this up, tell us about how that we can find you and what you're running for. Let everybody know.
So I'm running for Congress, New York's 19th district. Right now, I'm building out my social media. So I'm primarily on Twitter at the moment. So at Hal for New York, 2 underscores, and which is a play on our last election cycle where the district maps were constantly changing in New York. At least they changed twice. Right now, at the moment, to be an independent candidate, like I said, the most important thing is being on the ballot. So we are mapping out our petitioning strategy, and starting there before we even get into building everything else up, because that has to be meticulous, or it's all for nothing. We can go out and campaign for 2 years and then not make the ballot and say, write me in, and we will get 7 votes. And
That
my
sounds
mom will not be
familiar,
one of
Larry.
them. She's not
I
writing
know
my
the
name.
feeling, Hal. I know
Yeah.
the feeling. Kit,
Yeah.
tell me what's going on in your world, brother.
Well, Hardlands Media in this month of April, we made the change to be a morning show. We're live 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, and Twitch. We're fully investing into our different platforms of Rockfin, Rumble, Odyssey, and Twitch, as I said before, still being on YouTube, of course, but also we have brought on a lot of guests. Larry, I definitely want to have you back on too, because we have a TV show on Can TV, which is a public television network. And Hardlands Media is going on television as well. And my main goal is to do more documentary series and do more investigative and original pieces for my YouTube channel. And now more than ever, I'm willing to give a voice to the voiceless, and looking forward to the 2024 election cycle and covering the madness that will be politics in America. Don't worry, folks. It's only going to get progressively worse.
There we go. Craig, tell us what you're doing.
So I'm on different frequencies is the name of my Substack. I'm just kind of starting that up, so haven't been at that too long, but you can check out stuff there. I tweet every once in a while. I am not looking forward to the 2024 election myself, because I have seen too many horrible elections in the past 8 years, and this one is also going to be horrible. And I guess if you live for it, it's good. I mean, I do live for it because I keep talking about it, but
Yes.
it just makes me sad. Eventually it'll kill me, I think, but we'll keep
go.
on going.
So, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming aboard today. I appreciate it. It was a great show. Everyone else for watching, thank you so much for watching. I will be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow I have my radio show. You guys know it's a call-in show out of WYSL, Rochester, New York. I'll be, if you want to call in, 1 p.m. Eastern. And also tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be on Kennedy. So I'll be on news on Fox Business. I'll be on Kennedy at 7 p.m. So if you guys want to watch me then, I will be there. And Wednesday, I am having the Libertarian Party Presidential Forum, the second one.
Very good.
7 p.m. on Wednesday evening. And Thursday evening, I have the one, the only mayor of Knox County, the man himself, Mr. Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane. He will actually be there for me at 7 p.m., another Republican/Libertarian leaning Republican on that case. So I will see you all